Hello everyone, welcome to our Zoom story time. We're going to continue this lesson with the story we're looking at from Exodus of Moses going to Pharaoh to have him let the people go. And we're picking up just after the plague of frogs where Pharaoh has decided he's still not going to let the people go. So the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, raise your staff and strike the ground. The dust will turn into swarms of gnats throughout the land of Egypt." I'm going to show you the picture. We've got some pictures to go with it again today. So hopefully you can see that now. There's Aaron striking the ground with his staff, and the dust is flying up and turning into gnats. So Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord commanded them. When Aaron raised his hand and struck the ground with his staff, gnats infested the entire land, covering the Egyptians and their animals. Pharaoh's magicians tried to do the same thing with their secret arts, but this time they failed. And the gnats covered everyone, people and animals alike. You remember in the last lesson we did, the magicians copied with their magic and they were able to copy the signs that had happened. But this time they can't copy. "This is the finger of God," the magicians exclaimed to Pharaoh. But Pharaoh's heart remained hard. He wouldn't listen to them, just as the Lord had predicted. Then the Lord told Moses, "Get up early in the morning and stand in Pharaoh's way as he goes down to the river. Say to him, 'This is what the Lord says. Let my people go so they can worship me. If you refuse, then I will send swarms of flies on you, your officials, your people, and all the houses. The Egyptian homes will be filled with flies, and the ground will be covered with them. But this time I will spare the region of Goshen, where my people live. No flies will be found there. Then you will know that I am the Lord, and that I am present even in the heart of your land. I will make a clear distinction between my people and your people. This miraculous sign will happen tomorrow." And the Lord did just as he had said. A thick swarm of flies filled Pharaoh's palace and the houses of his officials. The whole land of Egypt was thrown into chaos by the flies. I think they would have been wishing that they had a few of these around, wouldn't they? I don't think it would have mattered what kind of fly swat they had. If their whole house was filled with flies, there would be no way of getting rid of them, would there? That would just be really awful. So Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron. Oh, but just before we go there, here we can see this must be the land of Goshen. Not a fly in sight. There's a shepherd and the little girl, and they're minding the animals, and even though they're minding the animals, there's still no flies anywhere. Just like God said, where his people lived, there were going to be no flies. The flies were only going to be on the Egyptian people. So Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron. "All right, go ahead and offer sacrifices to your God," he said, "but do it here in this land." But Moses replied, "That wouldn't be right. The Egyptians detest the sacrifices that we offer to the Lord our God. Look, if we offer our sacrifices here where the Egyptians can see us, they will stone us. We must take a 3-day trip into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, just as he has commanded us." "All right, go ahead," Pharaoh replied. "I will let you go into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord your God, but don't go too far away. Now hurry and pray for me." Moses answered, "As soon as I leave you, I will pray to the Lord, and tomorrow the swarms of flies will disappear from you and your people, you and your officials and all your people. But I am warning you, Pharaoh, Don't lie to us again and refuse to let the people go to sacrifice to the Lord." So Moses left Pharaoh's palace and pleaded with the Lord to remove all the flies. And the Lord did as Moses asked and caused the swarms of flies to disappear from Pharaoh, his officials, and his people. Not a single fly remained. But Pharaoh again became stubborn and refused to let the people go. So that's where we're going to leave it for today's section of the saga of Moses and Pharaoh and God. Pharaoh has changed his mind again. Now that the flies are gone, he's decided he doesn't want to let them go after all. So I wonder, what do you think we can learn about our life with God from this story about Pharaoh? I think there's a few things that I noticed in the story. I noticed that each time God said what he would do and when he would do it, and then God did what he said he would do when he said he would do it. So that really stood out to me, that God, he didn't just do stuff without telling anybody, and also when he did tell them what he was going to do, he did that. And I also noticed that even though God knew Pharaoh was going to stop the people and not let them go, and he was not going to listen right until the end. I think some of us know how the story ends. But even though God knew that, he knew that Pharaoh would not listen to him and would not let the people go, he still kept giving him the chance to. So in today's section of the story, we saw that first they had gnats all over them. I don't know if you know what gnats are, those tiny little flying insects. So first they had swarms of gnats everywhere, and then when those went away, Moses came and talked to Pharaoh again and gave him an opportunity to agree to let the people go, and told him what God had said would happen if he didn't. And Pharaoh decided not to, and so on came the flies. I don't know about you, but a few flies is enough for me. I don't think I would like to have swarms of them in my house. That would be very difficult to live with. But I noticed that God still gave Pharaoh all those chances. He didn't just say, I know how this is going to end, so we're just going to jump to the end. God still gave Pharaoh the opportunity to listen to him. So I think that shows us something about what God's like, doesn't it? What kind of character he has. You might have some other ideas about what kind of things we can learn from that story and what it shows us about God. And if I get to talk to you in the, I don't know if we're doing Zoom meetings this Sunday, because some people are going to be at church at the building meeting. So sometime we might get to discuss what ideas you have as well about that, or you could send them to you on the church email if you send me a photo of something that you've made, maybe. Okay, so I'm just going to share and show you guys some of the things that you could do. Share another screen with you. Now this activity, the link for it is on the website. It looks like a toddler activity, but we've made a bit of an adjustment to it. So you can see it's a cardboard box target practice game where you string up the targets. They've used cups on their one. I'm going to show you, I've done something a little bit different, and then you can throw a ball at it. That little boy's got a inflatable ball, but you might have some other kind of ball at home, or I have just screwed up some pieces of paper to make my balls. So if you have some scrap paper, you can make balls out of that. That's another idea. So let me show you. This one is a fly. fly hitting target practice. So you can see I've done pretty much the same sort of thing. I just had a cardboard box. I've cut the flaps off except for the bottom flap. I've left that flap there so it can balance. There's my flaps that I cut off, and you can see some of this one is missing. Some of this little short end one. I used it to draw my flies. So I drew some flies and just cut out a square of cardboard around them, poke a hole with the scissors and poke a hole through the top of the cardboard box. I've used some little offcuts from my trimmings to stop the string pulling through. Then I've just tied my fly pieces, and you can see I've made them different sizes and I've given them different numbers. My biggest one's only worth 1 point and my smallest one is worth 10 points. The numbers might look backwards from here, I'm not quite sure. And my middle-sized one is worth 5 points. So I've just put 3. You could put more if you want, so that you've got more of a swarm of flies. And then you can sit your box on a table or down on the floor and you can practice throwing. Wasn't a very good shot. It's wobbling too much because I'm holding it. Get them to hang still. Then we can, 1 point for me. So there's a little bit of a, more of an activity-based craft for you guys to have a go at this time around. I thought you might like. You can make it from a bigger box if you want, or a littler box, and you can make it harder by standing further away, or you can stand nice and close so it's easy to hit your targets. And the other one you could have a go at if you like is, let's just go back to that screen. This how to draw cartoon flies. You can see he's showing you the steps by drawing just different shapes and different letter sort of shapes. So there's an oval with some Z's for the fly's feet, and then 2 circles for his eyes. You can see there though that you can't start it out in text, or you won't be able to rub out the extra bits of lines, because when you draw your oval, you're going to have a line through there. And your eye, you can see they've just done a dotty line to show how the circle is. So you might want to, so the link for that one's on the website too. You might want to do something more like this. So if you can see what I've done. Start him off in pencil. This one's just drawn in pencil, like that. And then you can rub out those overlapping bits that we don't want. So you can see I need to rub out, hold this so you can see it. I need to rub out this line that came from his body so that it's not crossing through his eye. And I also need to rub out one of the lines where the eyes overlap each other as well. So if I do that, rub out his body, not his whole body, just the line where it overlaps. And then he looks much better. Now I can do the next steps and add the circles inside for his eyes. And what else is there? The ovals for his wings. When you do the ovals for the wings, you'll need to do some more rubbing out. You see, I've drawn my oval wing here, but it's still got this big line through the middle of it from his body, so I'm going to rub out that. Then I can finish him off with these little crisscross lines. And then after I've got all those lines in the right place, I can trace over him with some black texture I used, or you might want to use a coloured texture or coloured pencil. And then you'll work out without having lots of messy crisscross lines where you don't want to have them. So you can have a go at those ones if you like, and I will catch up with you another time. Have a good day, week, and I'll see you next time.